So you just think about it that agent is going to disrupt what we know today.
Okay.
And the trend we are seeing is that it will just change the type of jobs that exist. Before, you'll be looking for a proper developer. Wherever I'm using the word proper, you're looking for a developer today.
Yeah.
You're looking for a vibe coder. I saw a role yesterday. Someone was looking for a vibe coder for £750 a day.
I'll get to that. Yeah.
So the whole thing will be changing. The type of jobs will change, but not necessarily. There will be more people who are looking for jobs who upskill to meet up with the demand. There will be the old guys who refuse to change, who will have to get out of the market.
You are welcome to the Automating Inequality podcast. The Automating Inequality podcast delves into the critical question: how will artificial intelligence, robotics, and autonomous systems reshape our society and its inequalities? In this podcast, we engage in insightful conversations with leading experts in AI, technology, and social sciences.
Hi, my name is Blaze Apple, and you are welcome to another episode of the Automating Inequality podcast. On my left here is Joseph Agunbiade, who in the past 16 years has been a tech entrepreneur and has built products across multiple domains. Mr. Joe, can we meet you?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be on your podcast today. My name is Joseph, like you rightly said, and I have a background in physics, interestingly, and I've worked extensively in product development over the years across several industries. So the longest has been civic tech, education. I've also worked on several like verticals like fintech, insurtech, and corporate industries. One of the things I fancy to do a lot of the time is learning new knowledge. I like to solve complex problems just like that, without even compensation. I just fancy solving complex problems over the years. And so this era of AI and all that has really sort of given me a very comfort zone. I find it very interesting because now I could, play around with a lot of ideas and thoughts that I'm always tinkering with. It's taking longer time. Now I could do it much faster.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good place.
Okay, great. So looking at you've done multiple things. Which phase of your life did you find most interesting?
Wow. Well, up till now, I've gone through a series of iterations of evolution of myself. I've always been very optimistic. And I say optimism is something that drives me. And so it's always hard to answer those type of questions. It's just like when I'm filling an application form and I'm asked to talk about my failures. It's one of the hardest things for me to report. And I think it's a common problem with people that are very optimistic.
Okay.
So I started out early as an entrepreneur when I was about 16, 17. And I went on from customizing teaching delivery. For example, teaching math, specialized maths, I call it maths clinic, as a high school student.
Wow.
To further maths theater, to computer repairs, selling computers, opening a computer store as a university student, selling books. I just did like literally everything. I remember doing my 1 year compulsory service needs to the nation. I sold chin-chin. I was bringing chin-chin from like Onitsha to my degree, like such a distance, So I've done lots of things, and that's because at every point in time I see opportunity and I always like to jump on it.
Let's talk agentic AI.
Yeah.
So much is happening right now. We have too many companies building AI agents, right? Now, what is the impact of AI agents? Now, agents that talk to agents, that talk to agents, that talk to agents, right? All of that process, looking at work, looking at jobs, opportunities, what is the outlook of that in another 10 years?
Yeah, so one of the trends I'm seeing with AI is that people are creating, they're really like using their agents to solve real local problems within. So you see in an organization setup, you'd have an agent that does the thing that somebody else would have been doing for you.
Okay.
So you're now having one man leading set of agents in the department. So the structure of the department. So you're having human in the loop is now a manager managing sets of agents.
Okay.
Right. And those agents are able to probably talk to another agent that works for another manager that heads another department.
Oh, I see.
So depending on what it is, a perfect use case is in orchestration. You pretty much have that flow within your workflow. You just have an agent talking so you have an assistant that listens to your meeting. It listens, takes a record of it. So you can call that your company secretary or your assistant that takes a note. And then there's an action point that you need someone else to do. Maybe a developer to work on a feature, or a product manager to add a new product backlog. And then the agent notifies that the product backlog or the product owner, and then that one takes off from there, adds new feature that you have just discussed from your meeting, and then that one notifies the developer or your front-end engineer, who is also an agent, who then implements it.
Wow.
So this is going to continue, and we're going to see that trend grow. One of the predictions I'll make is that we're going to have people who are going to be off-the-shelf agents, which you're seeing already, right? And businesses will just look at handpick and say, "Oh, this is what I need this, I need that, and all that," and then find a way to bring them together to work for whatever purpose they want to. So you basically reassemble agents for different purposes, and you can get solid output.
And do you not think that the more agents that we have now, the more unemployment levels are high across the world. There is massive job cuts across the world. Again, it's about looking at the implications. Do you think that there's a lot more advantage than the disadvantage?
Advantage, yes. You are speaking that of. I think there's a lot of advantage, whether you like it or not. The world, there's always a time where there's always a reset. We went from typewriter to the use of computers to we used to have people who used to run computer center, business center, and then now it's something that is so ubiquitous, right? So what happens is that you have more knowledge, more advanced knowledge that every individual now needs to possess for them to be able to play to survive. And so what it's doing is that you're going to be having more, what do you call it now? What's the right word? Situation where people now need to improve on their skills for them to survive. More jobs will be created, more businesses, because now there's efficiency. You can optimize rather than having a lot of people. Agents can do that. It costs less. So when there's more money in the system, more companies will be created.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So those are some of the benefits. So I'm very optimistic. Like I said, I'm always looking at the bright side. The fact is that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. People are getting older, so they are not so dynamic to learn.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So those type of people might probably suffer a little bit, but then they also have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience that we might be able to learn from. Or some of them might have money, they can invest. So you just think about it that agent is going to disrupt what we know today.
Okay.
And the trend we are seeing is that it will just change the type of jobs that exist. Before, you'll be looking for a proper developer. Wherever I'm using the word proper, you're looking for a developer today. You're looking for a vibe coder. I saw a role yesterday. Someone was looking for a vibe coder for £750 a day.
I'll get to that.
So the whole thing will be changing. The type of jobs will change, but not necessarily. There will be more people who are looking for jobs who upskill to meet up with the demand. There'll be the old guys who refuse to change, who will have to get out of the market.
Okay, great. I wanted to say something else, but since you mentioned vibe coder, let me jump on that quickly. So, we've seen this vibe coder thing, vibe coding, then we're seeing vibe marketing, and then we're seeing vibe other things. Now, let's start with vibe coding. Vibe coding first was vibe coding, right? And then something else I noticed recently, we're saying it for the context of this, you don't understand what vibe coding is. That's why you're going to answer that. But then online, I saw some guy who vibe coded himself, building multiple products.
Yeah.
And so again, vibe coders, most of them, the pride in building in the public domain. And so he built, and then after a while, he starts to get, so again, they call it multiple spam or scam subscriptions.
Yeah.
Right. And then that was blowing up his server and blowing up his platform expenses and usage. And so they weren't really genuine users.
Yes.
It was just some unscrupulous human being somewhere, right? For whatever reason, I don't know. Trying like, hey man, dude, you can't just vibe code yourself into becoming a core developer, all right? And so they were blowing up his platform. And I mean, I think at the time he put that tweet out, he was owing over nearly 100K in expenses on usage, platform usage. And then again, it just making me trying to understand what's really happening.
So vibe coding is a term that was promoted by a guy called Andre Carpati. It's very popular on Twitter and on YouTube.
Okay.
So he just carved that word. It's something that started happening, right? So if you use both .new, use Cursor, use Windsurf, and a lot of these platforms, pretty much you go in there, you enter a prompt, and the prompt can, with these platforms as agents, they build the platform for you. They build the product out for you. And there are a lot of fantastic product that has been created. One of the best is Cloud Code by Anthropic. That's pretty much, you can take a project, put in there, and a project you're working on, and ask it to debug it for you. And if you do a fantastic job, but it also charges you a lot of money. It's like having a Silicon Valley level senior engineer on your project.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's changing the game for development, where you now need people who are very experienced, jobs that is only experienced people, very, very experienced people. You can now have mid-level engineers doing it. Okay. You have it's like peer coding. You have people working together with you on a singular project. That's kind of capability. So I use Windsurf a lot. And on Windsurf, you can go in there and you describe the problem you want to. So you create your project directory, just like any other project directory, like you're using VS Code.
Yeah.
And then this time around, instead of writing code, you're actually writing natural language, prompting, and it's responding.
Good.
So, and what we've also seen is, like on Cloud platform, they've now developed, called MCPs.
Yes.
Yeah. So MCPs is pretty much now bringing in, like supercharging the entire vibe coding process, where the things you now need to call multiple APIs for while you're working. You can have an MCP. It's like a plugin that you have that, you need to just call it. Just write a word and you call an MCP, and you suddenly have a lot of power, on your, things that you could have done multiple steps to code and all of that, several days or months. All of a sudden you have it right within your application, so, and we hope that, and that is being standardized. I'm sure very soon we're going to have, a lot of other providers like OpenAI, balancing up with things like MCPs. It's almost like a new standard. The way you have like REST and
model context protocols are like a new standard. Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's, again, all of these are wonderful, but the problems that we're seeing in it, new activities, new sort of problems, right? So you have those who are building, and you have, I see a bunch of tweets where some guys like, typically let me say the fundamental programmers, right? Who feel, you don't have the fundamentals of writing code. I cut my teeth spending 15 years to learn code, right? And all of a sudden you just feel that you're just going to vibe code yourself into a game that maybe all of a sudden you attain $1 million AR, right? And he just feels, you shouldn't be able to do that, right? Because you don't have the fundamentals. You're not there yet. That's one, right? And then there are those who also vibe coding, but then all of a sudden they have some problem in the code and they can't fix it because they don't have the fundamentals. So that's some new two problems. And then the third one is those who feel the sort of persons sending spam subscriptions to platforms and blowing up the servers. These are new problems for vibe coders. Yeah,
so let me try and touch on each of those points without wasting your time. So the first point is that you always have people who are legacy people. They always think that this thing belongs to them. And you had it when typewriter transitioned to computers. Typewriter people who feel that they were the best typists, things that the computer people are just there for a short time.
Yeah.
But they got caught and a lot of them lost their job, and those that refuse to move to, and that's what's going to happen to legacy developers, because now something that will take you several weeks or months to do, somebody can just get on a platform and get it done, speedily. So that's one first thing that we're going to be seeing. Now, on the issues of bugs, where these guys are inexperienced, they cannot solve. That's why you're now seeing newer agents who specializes in troubleshooting.
Okay.
So you use boot.new to create a code. You download it, you take it into Cloud Code. Cloud Code troubleshoots it for you and fixes it for you.
Oh, interesting.
And you are having full automated CI/CD pipeline without learning how to use any of the Jenkins, all the systems that existed. You can now set up. So a lot of these platforms have like a full CI/CD setup. So you're coding, you're deploying, continuous, integration, continuous deployment.
So a non-coder can weld themselves into a full product.
You can use these platforms, these agent platforms, to integrate directly to GitHub seamlessly. You don't need to have taken several courses learning how to use GitHub, and you just keep pushing and you have your full automation. And if you are confused now, you can basically just ask ChatGPT. You can ask Gemini, and there are a lot of tools that basically makes the whole process very easy. And then the third question was, what's the third question again?
So you have the
spamming.
Spamming subscriptions.
Yeah, so you have these guys who feel that they've really paid their dues, and all of a sudden you are coming in to challenge them. I believe that most of those people are angry people that are spamming these guys who are vibe coding. The truth of the matter is that nobody cares. The people just want their problem solved. If you improve your skill to prompting skills, and of course that's driving the fact that people are now the most important skill now is learning how to prompt. How do I prompt better? How do I engage with this LLM better?
Yeah.
Rather than learning how to write Python better, how to write JavaScript better. So it's changing that whole game, for people. And so the angry guys now will continue to attack up until, and when they do that, they're exposing themselves too early, because then somebody's going to build a solution for that. Maybe at a fee, and they will solve that problem like antivirus again. And ultimately we'll get to a point where it will no longer be a thing. So people will now be learning to improve on their natural language prompting skills rather than because what's programming basically? It's basically someone who is able to logically put together a way to solve a problem.
True.
And so just it's just a piece of language that was written that can talk to machine. But now LLM has leveled that playing ground to say you can't just use natural language. We'll handle every other thing for you. And I think that's it. It's the new programming language, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, prompting is. Have you used Kling AI before?
Kling.
Yeah, Kling AI, Krea AI, the text to video generation.
Yeah, I mean, I just play around with a couple of those things. Even Sora, I've used.
Sora, Pika, and the rest of them.
Yeah, a couple of them. So I've seen a lot of those tools.
Those are bringing new age, video creation, video content generation. And again, you think about Hollywood, right? I saw one recently. I saw one just yesterday. That one is text to character to movie creation. So what that means is with text, you build characters, you build a script, you build a story, and you build the whole movie. So once you're done creating all of that, it's going to create all the characters by itself. It's going to create the script by itself, and it's going to start generating the video by itself till the end of it. I saw it yesterday, and I was thinking, man, Hollywood is in for it.
Yes, that's what we call vibe video production.
That's a new one.
Yes, that's a vibe. So take it from me. Yeah. So pretty much we'll continue to see that across industries. People are going to be creating like automated workflows, leveraging the power of these LLMs. It's very, sometimes the word LLM, I don't think does justice to the capabilities of these models, right? Originally it could have been a language model, but it's learning everything. And all of a sudden you can do, if you want to do an NLP, a natural language processing, you need to build this computer vision, you need to do this. But now these models they have like, I was using Gemini and I put a plate of plantain, fish, and stew, and I uploaded it in, and it identified and just told me this is stew, this is fish, this is. I mean, before now, imagine how many codes.
Did you ask it to cook jollof rice for you instead?
Then it identified what all the elements within that place. So we're going to be seeing people. I'm working on something very interesting, for example, now for sermons, for pastors, to create sermons and all of that. So imagine that before now, if people are preparing for exams and they're thinking, oh, what can I carry on as I drive to my center to write an exam, and you are thinking of those things that looks impossible that we always imagine our heads. You can just take your last summarized note or your notes over time,
turn it to audio,
upload it into Notebook LLM,
and listen to it also while you're going through.
So that's the new possibility, and you're going to see it. It's not going to be only in video production. You're going to see it everywhere. I'm talking about disrupting Hollywood. Like I said, these things have come to stay. It's not easy to come into Hollywood, right? There are still territorial people that control.
Most definitely.
There are still like models.
They're going to
there are still great scripts. And a lot of things that it will take a while. But ultimately, we'll get to a point where we'll begin to see all this disruption at different level. So people are going to be employing AI to just work with them along the line as they do these productions.
Okay, great. So I wrote a post on LinkedIn, which got a lot of numbers just last week. I said there was around so again, there's this thing that people say where they say perplexity is going to kill off Google, right? And I said the thing that's going to kill Google hasn't been born yet. You ready yet? It hasn't been born yet. And so for me, my perspective was that Google has gone way right into communities. There are places that they haven't never heard of perplexity. They've never heard of WinSolve, and they're never going to hear about them. Right now, that's one. Two, Google has built multiple databases of knowledge, whether it's video, whether it's text, whatever it is, whether it's research via Google Scholar across now search. So when some people say, "Oh yeah, this is going to be the data of Google," right? And these are models that had knowledge cut off as of 2024 that only recently started having real time access to internet. For example, Claude, which has Claude Search. So, and I think about how much people do not know about all of this new technology and how much Google has built over time. And I said, Google, what's going to kill Google hasn't been born yet. All of these guys, Claude Search just recently now they can access. I think it was Copilot, Gemini, and Grok that could even access.
Grok,
internet directly and do real time.
Yeah, even OpenAI, you can do search.
OpenAI recent. I think that was recent because previously they had the knowledge cut off about 2024.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the question. My question for you is, what do you think? What's your take on again? All of these guys supposedly being the guys who kill Google.
No, so that you find those guys on Twitter and on YouTube. They are creating content. They are using Google's product, and they are saying that one funny product will kill the other one. I guess it's most of them probably are prompting similar LLM to create the tagline for the hook for their content.
So they're not writing them. So it's not genuine. They are using AI to write.
They are probably using Google Gemini to write to write those lines, those hooks to market. So because they all say the same thing. And people are saying all of that. You just know that they're all writing similar script, just reading the same thing. And you see that a lot with some people who vibe code. Then they get some of these guys, pay them money. Same thing with Manos. People saying that Manos is this. Why Manos? It might be great. And people will write a lot of great stuff. Most of those things you keep hearing them is just marketing and just for the purpose of marketing.
Yeah.
I've never really used Perplexity. Every time I go there,
never use it?
Not like I've not used it. It doesn't strike me like something. I'm not saying they are not great, but and I'm sure a lot of people think that way. I'm not saying
I think they're great, though.
They are great. I'm just saying that. Yeah. You can't go and be saying Perplexity and Google. You can't be bringing it side by side.
Yeah.
And Google is responsive. Initially, there was a period when we felt Google was so slow to respond.
Yeah.
But I guess because they were doing so much at the go, they are one of the organization working heavily on biotech, AI biotech. They are doing so much.
Yeah.
With the new AI studio release, you see some of the crazy things that their platform can do. You even think that they're under marketing themselves. So we'll keep hearing a lot of those things. While I believe that any company that does not respond will definitely lose out eventually. it's not going to happen immediately. I was talking with someone and I was telling him how disruption is happening, an established company. And it was like, Joseph, we are established. We've got our customers. This is an infrastructure business. They will continue to use us. You can continue to do your AI. It will come and shake us. So while there might be some level of disruptions, there are businesses that if they respond early enough, are definitely going to continue to be on top, like Google. Google is not, Google is Google.
Google is Google.
Yeah, so it's really it's a shame that some people are trying to. I think it's just a marketing hook that people are creating. Yeah, nothing to really.
You know when Google dropped View, I laughed and I wrote something and I said, these guys have YouTube. They have access to data to train their videos on. There's no how Google's View is not going to beat everybody else.
Absolutely.
Because they have, you have platforms that go out like OpenAI that go to license data from Reddit. Google have their own data already. So most definitely looking to come out tops.
Yeah. Even though it's about how you build the layer, the abstraction you build on top of your data, that makes you really, really unique. Google really, their products for a very long time has been tops and all that. And so there's no doubt that other people can definitely play. There's a lot of democratization, right? But Google is not slacking. And that's the most important thing, that they're not really slacking. And we should anticipate even more. I'm sure they are ready now to start releasing competitive.
They are. So, okay, let's try to wrap this up. So, looking at Univelcity, MentorLed, and again, AI for education and all of that, how do you see, again, from a practitioner's point of view, how we can begin to advance knowledge? How do we reduce potential, what word do I use now? Potential hits to those who are not yet there, those who are not aware of such technology, because again, it's like AI, it's out evolving us. The launches, the new, the trends, it's coming before we even wake up the next day, something else is happening. And so the previous ones, people are still not aware of it. Again, what is the outlook of that? What do you think should be the approach for everyone out there who may be in a community or who may be in a leadership position, to help shore up the hits?
Yeah, there's, as they say now, that the new digital literacy is AI literacy.
Yeah.
That's the new literacy. As much as possible, for leaders, and which you and I are one of them, we have the responsibility to inform our peers, inform our family members, and tell them about what's happening. The world is fast changing, and we must acknowledge that. I think that's a very good place to start. Then we think that the form of advocacy that we can drive is pushing and getting people to at least engage and see that. So I was speaking with someone in the academia, and I was saying that the approach is now completely different. Initially, they were trying to use, there was a software, they turned it in. There was a software they were using to check plagiarism.
Most universities use it.
To check people are using AI tools and all that. He said the approach has now changed. They're now looking at a completely different, they're testing people for ability to collaborate, because you now use ChatGPT. There are tools that now can clean up your ChatGPT content generation and make it sound like real human. And so how do they detect that? So they are now using a completely different approach. And so, but for people who are not fully aware, part of what we can do is we can leverage open source tools to provide them in local remote areas, make this thing available locally within local servers people can access. We can push the knowledge of AI literacy. What AI is not our enemy. AI is not just something that will take your job and you're powerless to do something. You can do something about it. You can educate yourself. Just using ChatGPT is not enough. A lot of people think that is all there is about AI. When you actually subscribe, and I tell people that if you can afford it, $20, all of those subscriptions, take one or two, try and pay for it. All right. Pay for some of these tools, subscribe and use premium tools. It gives you even much more power to be able to do a lot more. If you're a builder, explore it. Even though you're not a coder, explore vibe coding. All right. There are a lot of video content on it on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm always saving.
Yes. Everybody needs to, because the concept of vibe coding even might not just be around building software products. It's vibing, doing leveraging connections, workflows of AI agents, doing repetitive tasks that AI can now do for you.
Yeah.
And that can take you from, here to
in a very short while.
Yes, with just $20-$30 subscription a month. So I think that's the journey. We should continue to push AI literacy, continue to try and push and apply ourselves. If you've got that capability, dedicate some good time.
Okay.
5-10 hours every week, learning new stuff. And please always check the dates. If you go on YouTube to learn, it depends what you are learning. Check the dates, because the knowledge you might be learning, even though it's just
might be outdated.
So yeah, so
you have to get something new.
Yes.
So two more things. Just a quick statement. What's exciting you about everything happening today?
I'm happy to be alive, seeing another 1995, 1998 happening again. 90s, where people build new industries completely from scratch.
Okay.
New Google is being built. New Amazon is being built. I don't know what it is. I don't know who is building it. I'm applying myself, and my challenge and my encouragement to everyone out there is to not just let this happen in your very eyes.
Yeah.
Get involved. If you have so much money and you are lazy, invest in people. YC said they're making unprecedented profits.
Bro, more than ever.
More than ever. And you'll be wondering that, wait, these guys are investing in everybody. Even though if you go say Samela AI, they are going to give you money. And they are making a kill. And so who are you, not to jump on it? So I would say, irrespective of where you find yourself, from a very conservative industry to non-conservative industry, there's an AI for you to use that you can capitalize on.
Okay. So Jerry, how can people find you? Where can people find you?
My name is Joseph Agunbiade. And on most platforms, I'm at Joseph Agunbiade. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not very consistent with posting, but I'm always there. I would like your post. I will read it. I'm on Instagram too. And then you can
Univelcity, MentorLed?
Yes, Univelcity is at Univelcity on every platform.
Okay.
MentorLed is at
What's
MentorLed.
the website?
Univelcity.com.
Okay.
UNIVELCITY.com. MentorLed is mentor and then led, LED. MentorLed.com.
Okay.
That's MentorLed. So we are working, and we hope to collaborate with more people who can help us achieve our goal. Our goal is to drive digital literacy in the world, especially in underserved communities like Nigeria.
Okay. Oh yeah, remember one more thing. China.
Ooh.
China.
Yes.
China. In 2 or 3 statements, what do you think about what China is doing with DeepSeek, Qwen 2, Qwen 3 points, and so on and so on, and every other new thing they release that seems to be like a hack down on what is being released by the US companies, right? Again, it's just 2 or 3 sentences. What's your take?
What you're saying is what has always happened between the East, East to West,
yes.
Where the West develop very sophisticated technology, then the East just releases their own cheaper version and all of that, and it has equal power. And I think it speaks largely to their philosophy in China, and I believe that there's a whole lot that is also happening. Okay. So in the next couple of weeks and months, we'll be hearing from them.
A whole lot.
So naturally, this is what they do. For me, I'm a very westernized person, and I just stick to one thing. I don't jump around. When DeepSeek happened and all of that, I didn't jump in. I don't just jump.
You're loyal.
Yeah, I'm not just loyal. I mean, it does what I want. Okay, maybe when I get to a point where
and what you have does what you already.
It does what I want. But I believe that China, they've got a lot of. In fact, on OpenAI, the guy that worked on the audio model, you see, that is a Chinese guy, is a solid Chinese guy.
Yeah.
So I see the word as one. So it's just the first person, and if the first person is doing it very well, I just stick to them. I don't just jump here and there because they are giving us so much power. Oh, DeepSeek can do this, but OpenAI does it for me.
Yeah.
All right. So like you're giving me a gun to kill a fly. So I just stick to.
You don't need so much.
I don't need so much. Just the little that can do, and as it progresses, I go with it. I've seen a lot of people who jump around, eventually decide that, okay, I'm just going to stick to this one thing. And I'm not doing it without being, I'm reading, I'm listening. If tomorrow China is stopping, I'll definitely follow their own platform.
Okay.
And if I see the need to use it, so the most important thing is so that people don't get confused or get frustrated and, and lose a lot of money. Just stick to one of these things. Think and build solution for yourself. So, and this is a very important point I want to mention, that a lot of people are thinking, what do I do? What I've focused on is that I'm now building like, personalized orchestration framework.
Okay.
And I learn new things and I add it as new features.
Okay.
I just added, so see OpenAI, when they released the audio model, this one they just released, they updated their OpenAI SDK, just to support it. So pretty much, build personal orchestration framework, keep adding all of these new things, capabilities as feature, just keep enjoying it. If you don't know what to do, I think that's the most random thing I would advise you to do. Okay. And you'll be glad you did at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Joe, for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
The Automating Inequality podcast delves into the critical question: how will artificial intelligence, robotics, and autonomous systems reshape our society and its inequalities? In this podcast, we engage in insightful conversations with leading experts in AI, technology, and social sciences. The Automating Inequality podcast.